Hello there. Hello, 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 folks. Can everyone hear me? Does this sound alright? How are we all feeling on this wonderful, wonderful evening? There we go. So, in the mail, there came a little gift today. A little something something from a little someone someone. Hello, hello, hello. Grandfather Christmas, or rather Grandfather James, came in today, stopped by, and gave us a little something. An army box. Oh, also, yeah, these are my hands. Yeah. Oh, hey, nice. They were sold out pretty quickly, at least in my local stores. So it's pretty nice that you managed to get them. They, a friend of mine didn't get them, so you know, I can gloat at them now. Be like, look what I got, hee hee, idiot. Yeah. And we're gonna do a little bit of reading today. Wait. Also, I will put on a little bit of background music. So there we go. What the hell? Ah, it disappeared for a second there. Okay. So there we go. I don't know how the background music is. If it's a bit too loud or a bit too disruptive, let me know. Or, you know, if it needs to be a bit louder, that's fine too. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna see what the lore is like. I'm gonna start with opening up this bad boy. Also, yeah, this is Edgar. Everyone say hi to Edgar. He's our host for the evening. Our good friend. Let me see. How does this one... Does it open? How does it open? Oh, wait. Oh. I'm dumb. It's still taped closed. 1 second. 1 second. Don't play with knives, kiddos. It's very dangerous for your well-being. Yes, Edgar is a fearsome warrior. Be very scared of him. Many have fallen to his blade. His fearful visage. So, wait, I think the other side. Whoop. Goodbye, Edgar. Oi, whoa. Yep. Bit of Warhammer marketing in the back there. Ooh. Wait, I'm gonna do the little, kind of like the influencer thing, you know. Can you see it? Can you see it? Okay. Whoa. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, well, we're gonna look at all of this later. For now, I'm interested in something else. Where are you? Ooh, I think... Oh. What is this? Also, is the audio okay? These things are always still a bit tricky. I'm not good at audio. In case no one had noticed yet. Let me see. Oh, they really make a game out of it, don't they? Oh, whoops. Ooh. Oh yeah, they will get their video. If anything, what I'm doing right now is kind of a a prelude to the video. Doing a bit of research live on stream. Okay, no, but for real, how that? I'm kind of like a toddler when it comes to opening these things. Or maybe this is just... Am I really this dumb? Oh, here we go. 1, 2. Oh my god. Jesus. Hashut. Oh, sorry. I mean Hashut. Hashut. Oh, here we go. The book. A lot of nonsense. Okay, wait. For now, I'm gonna put the box away. We're gonna have a look at that some other time. Wow, first hand cam stream, and it's going so well, guys. So, let me see. Also, can you hear the background music a bit? Or am I... These things are tricky. These things are tricky! Okay, well, whatever. So, the book. Ooh. Bullman. Hellsmiths of Hashut. Okay. So I'm gonna do like a little read through of this book. My first time reading through it. A bit of research for the video proper. And also just, you know, for people who want to see it, who are interested in it. To maybe learn a bit as well about what they're about. So, I feel like I'm reading to a class right now. The realms belong to us. Dwarden have always been masters of the land, let none deny. Then that we are the truest of our kind. When chaos came, we did not shame ourselves with retreat. Through the perfection in our smithery, we mastered the substances of ruin. Now it burns in our forges, it rages in our blades, it screams from our guns. Our will is the hammer that pounds in the deep. It breaks the earth, it fells the forests, it remakes mountains. Through shattering stone and soul, we leave our foes as grist to serve our ambitions. We gain glory, we worship the Father of Darkness, the primordial flame that crackles the name Hashut. Our day of dominations has long been ordained, yet the Redman's spasming idiocy would now strip the realms of what is ours. Amongst the ruins stagger manlings, elf breeds, and our tin-bearded kin who cower before the traitorous ancestors. All require a demonstration of their place. Those who abase themselves may find a quick end. The rest will be spilled on the bullfather's horns, trampled beneath his hoofs, scorched by his cinderous breath, and then they will be hurled into the furnaces and forgotten as our conquests marches on. The realms belong to us. We demand it. It shall be. Okay, that's good. That's already a good start. Ooh. Looky here. Yeah, I'm finally live. Wow. Finally streaming. The day I never thought it would come, but here I am. And hopefully semi-regular from now on. Now that I've kind of like a little setup here. I will also be streaming. I will also be painting. I will be painting the Hellsmiths of Hashut. Probably on stream as well. And reading through this book now and maybe playing some games some other time. I'm planning to do this at least once a week. So, yeah. Hello. Now, let's start. The Legions of Hashut. Take all that is virtuous in the Dwarden, their stolidity, willpower, their bond with earth and stone. Now plunge these qualities into magma blackened by foul pollutants. Oh, lovely. What emerges will be horrifically warped and liable to burn to the touch. Such is the animus that drives the Hellsmiths of Hashut. Oh, thank you, Evie. Ivy, Aetherwolf? Whatever. Thanks, that's nice. The Hellsmiths of Hashut commonly refer to themselves as the Zardron, the folk of fire. To outsiders, they are oathbreakers. The Dark Ones, or simply Chaos Dwarden. Like their estranged kin, they are stocky and thick-limbed, with craggy bones and fulsome beards. Their bones are strong, their muscles dense, and their minds given to structure, whether in industry or governance. Yet here, their similarities end, and the dark side of the Dwarden psyche is unshackled. Stubborn courage becomes spiteful contempt. Stoicism contorts it. What the hell? I think we're haunted by a shoot. All the lights suddenly went off. What the fuck? What the hell? Yeah? Oh, wait, hang on 1 second. 1 second, something happened here. Yeah. What the hell? Oh. Can you stop that from happening so right now? Oké, dan gaan we even... Oké, wacht, kom zo, oké? Ja. Okay, so... I guess we're being haunted by demons. Or something. Because almost all the lights in the house just suddenly blew off like that. So, I'm gonna check real quick if everything's alright down here. I will hopefully be right back. So yeah, that's the thing, I guess. Hashut wasn't really pleased with me reading this, I guess, or something. So, of all the days. Okay, I will hopefully be right back. Just bear with me for a good second, okay? ik had erin gezegd, er zitten 2 stopcontacten hier, maar ik dacht, ik wil even een lamp hebben, ik wil misschien mijn laptop kunnen insteken, en misschien als het echt nodig is, is een andere lamp. Dat was het. Hallo. Hey. Ver weg. Ik heb gewoon een telefoon met zo'n net vast. Nou, dus nu waarschijnlijk niet echt mijn bal volgen. In ieder geval dat een extra lampje. Ja, waarschijnlijk. En daar kun je ook goed naar de boven. Ja, maar sowieso dat soort dingen moet je doen. Maar goed, ik ga in ieder geval de 2 lampjes erin steken, de rest houdt eruit. De stekkerdoos kom ik niet aan voor de rest. Dan hopen dat het goed gaat. En dan zou het weer goed gaan, ja. Ja, oké. Hello, I am back. Okay, so I guess don't play with demons too much, because some of the electricity just kind of popped. But it's fixed now, hopefully. I've kind of went around, fixed the necessary things. Now I can go back to reading without further things exploding. I will be sure to leave an extra sacrifice to the Bull Father tonight, just in case. I don't want to piss off any dormant demons. Yeah, no, all is good. It was just like a little, I don't really know the word, but it was easily fixed. Just, I don't need to put too much stuff in this little electrical socket, the one that Edgar is guarding. Because, it's very weak, apparently, I've heard. Okay, right, moving on. I don't know where I was anymore. Okay, well, we'll just keep going where I think we were about. Chaos has sunk its tendrils deep into these Dwarden. Consider their mutant physiology, for they are tusked and clawed, and their elders have eyes that glow like cinders and flesh transmuted to stone. Their attire, by contrast, is luxuriant and extravagant. Rich fabrics and sweet oiled hides coat their corruption like incense on a corpse. To the Hashutites, what a word, these marks are proof of their majesty, for they are the heirs of the ancient Dwarden nation that spanned the realms. They were not overcome by chaos, they say, but broke it in turn. To understand... Oh, hang on. So. Background music. Okay, whatever. Okay. To understand this arrogance, one must understand Hashut. That bull-headed deity of tyranny and oppression. In the Age of Chaos, when demons besieged the Karak Deeps, this evil god came to the most bitterly defiant Dwarden. Over long years, he chipped away at even the stubborn Dwarden will, offering dark knowledge of demon sorcery in exchange for submission. Now, his harvests infernal entities by the score, using them to empower their dire weaponry. Yet such forgecraft demands pains to fuel the hell forges. Where the Hashutites, I hate that word, march, lands are burned and stripped barren. For the Dwarden believe themselves entitled to all they desire. The Zardron have brooded within their ziggurat fortresses for centuries, and have long prepared for conquest. Their towers burn high, their furnaces burn hot, and weapons beyond count emerge from their factories, hissing with tormented demon stuff. Yet the hour of ruin unleashed by the Skaven has forced their hands. If the iron hoof of Hashut does not stamp down upon the realms, there may be no realms left to exploit, and the Bull Father would look unkindly on lacking tribute. Equally, the sorcerous masters of the ziggurats spy opportunities in the madness. The nations of order buckle, while Grungni walks openly abroad once more, seeking reconciliation with those Dwarden who fled before chaos rather than those who sought to conquer it. The Xardron would see all brought to heel in a wave of metal and hell flame. The thundering of artillery and the march of armored legions, the Hellsmiths of Hashut decree it. Thus shall they bend the cosmos to their will. Yeah, I mean, you need to be closer to the trees, you know. If you can't piss off 3 people, what are you even doing with your life? Oh, there's like a little short story here. Wow, guys, this live hand cam stream is going so well. Okay. Yeah, okay. Smoke, thick and acrid, seeped through Grum's shattered rebreather. Wheezing, the young Caradron blinked. Around them lay the smoking remains of the frigate and the charred remains of the crew. What hit us? They did. Dorfar, it seemed, had also survived, or was stubborn enough to ignore his wounds. The Fire Slayer was on his feet. He'd been scowling ever since Grum had hired him, and now his face was positively volcanic. Grunting, Grum stopped and caught his breath. Above them loomed a mountain that was not a mountain. Its skin was black steel, each vertex so sharp it made Grum's eyes ache. Poisoned fire spilled from gargoyle-mouthed grates high in the fortress's flanks. From each portcullis emerged something worse. Hundreds of warriors stamped across the plains. Amongst them trundled wheeled artillery and clanking death engines. The skies burned with indiscriminate explosions, and through them came horned shapes trailing oily smoke. Grum was a skyfarer with no particular love for rock or furrow. Yet something about the cracked, steaming desolation the Dark Legions marched through so shamelessly tugged at his core. "So, they are real then?" Grum breathed. He fumbled for his pistol. "I have taught them a tale to keep our beardlings in line." "Real, aye, they are real," Dwarfar growled. Something massive was shouldering through the wreckage, its eyes burning with malice. "So to all the sagas of their profligacy and evil. All the nightings they bowed before and I believe they mastered." A monstrous horn shook the air, the warriors ready and getting closer. Fire licking around their blades, their faces familiar, yet twisted in unnatural contempt. Dwarfar's hand settled on Grum's shoulder. "Come, lad. Have to warn the manlings." Whew. Okay. Oh, that's what the art is about here. It's like the carrot one, like, with this pistol, being like, "Fuck you, man!" And a one fire slayer. What an absolute lad, by the way. Like, you see this thing showing up, all these warriors, and you just grab your little Glock, and you're like, "I ain't going down without a fight, boy. Mama Grum didn't raise no quitters. Oh. Hell yeah. I'm already thinking about how to possibly paint them. Let me see. Wait, actually, how long is this book? It's quite long. Oh, what's this? Ooh! Okay, hang on. Oh yeah, okay. Going on, moving on. Tactics of the Hellsmiths. Okay. Overwhelming firepower forms the heart of Hellsmith's strategy in war. Whether it howls from the barrel of a blunderbuss, rains down in artillery barrages, or leaps from the claws of chanting sorcerers, their foes are systematically bombarded into oblivion. These are not clean deaths. Though the Dwarden consider themselves immaculate and above the depredations of chaos, within their souls lurks a spiteful lust to expel its warping power against both enemies and the lands themselves. A sickness that can lead to mania. Imagine Gothic. Oh yeah, I am 100% sure there will be a Gotrek book with the Chaos Dwarfs. Like, at this point, and it will be hilarious. I cannot wait before, like, you just know Gotrek is gonna, like, absolutely fuck up one of these things. Just absolutely, just no shot, low diff them to hell. Or wherever they go. I think hell would be maybe a favor to them, if I'm being honest. So maybe, like, super hell. Evil hell. Eviler hell. Or good? Whatever. I'm rambling again. Okay. Moving on. The physical shells and mechanisms of these weapons are crafted by low-born laborers and screaming iron-limbed automata. Only when empowered by infernal essences do they realize their murderous potential. It is through this dark technology, along with sheer Dwarden brawn and their dabbling in Hashut's gifts, that the Hellsmiths conquer and triumph. It is always hazardous to draw too deeply on demonic power, even that which is supposedly servile. Even the least of the Hellsmiths' weapons demands much time and material, and despite their expertise, there is always a danger of catastrophically mishandling the power they have seized. There is a miserly wit in how and when the Zardron fully empower the terror machines and sorceries they consider their birthright. They draw upon the abyss as if it were steam or oil pumped through smithery piping, stoking it through acts of desecration and minimizing the risk of violent overspill. Yet this calculated mien... I have never heard that word before. Yet this calculated mien is twinned with a sickening immortality and obsession with shock and awe. Should they deem 5 barrages necessary to break a foe, the Dwarden will launch 7. Launching at a needless obliteration. Okay, I love that. Such wastefulness is born of the conceit that any resource is theirs to plunder freely, and so can be replenished in due course. They desolate the realms to amass the suffering and natural bounty their work requires. Slashing and burning, marching through smoke and polluted flames. If their methods appear driven by cruelty as much as efficiency, well, the Dwarden need not explain themselves to lesser beings. Though the Zardron claim to be the unbroken continuance of the Khazalid Empire, the more unusual warriors amongst their armies demonstrate how far they have strayed from their ideals. Alongside their war hosts muster hordes of auxiliaries sworn to the Dwarden. Most are hobgrots, creatures so sly and sinister that even their own kind spur them. And their partnership with the Hashutites is based on mutual profit. Their fate is almost inevitably to die, used as cannon fodder so the Dwarden might adjust their battle plans accordingly. At the opposite end of the spectrum are those beings who are exalted to bear a more direct connection to Hashut. Alongside the ruling sorceress stand the Drazgar, or Scorched Sect, a religious order who speak their gods' burning hate and protect his mysteries. These priests wield influence over the bellicose bull centaurs, sanctioned mutants, who revel in violence and contempt. When an enemy has drawn in the deepest ire of the Dwarden, it is these sacred warriors, as well as the demon construct that share their god's tauroid form, that are assembled as holy stampedes to crush those marked by the Bullfather's wrath. Faced with the coming of the Hellsmiths of Hashut, nothing stands. Not shield walls and battle lines, neither crenellation nor fortress, certainly not hope. Okay, I really like this. Oh. Hello, AOS Maxer, says the AOS hater. Hello, Mr. Mike. A Hellsmith Slayer would go so hard and would be the... That would be pretty cool, actually. I think like a Hellsmith version of Slayers would be cool. Although then again, so what I really like about this so far is it is basically just... I know that the Chaos Dwarfs are like evil dwarfs, but they really have taken every single thing that makes a dwarf, or like, yeah, what makes them, and completely inverted it. Like, the Dwarden, the Chaos Dwarfs, Zaradrin, whatever they want to call them, they are wasteful. They clearly don't really care much about laborers, like, you know, low-born laborers, where regular dwarfs, being a laborer or a craftsman, is like the highest. They are wasteful, they don't care much about honor. I find it very interesting. Yeah, so far I'm a fan of this. It's pretty cool. Well, also, also something I also really like is that despite them now being chaos, there is still like that kind of dwarfish down-to-earthness, you know? Like with the same way that the Caradron, they view magic as like a science. At least from like what they said about like how they operate their machines. I get the feeling like this is just a science to them. This isn't like, you know, chanting robes like the other chaos dimwits, like blood sacrifices. Like, oh, and this is like science. There's like a precise this and this will cause this. When we put X amount of demons in this cannon, when we press X amount of little buttons on the machine, it will do X and Y. And I find it a very interesting look at magic. Because you're essentially doing the same thing, but just through a different lens. Oh, I didn't know that, Wolf. That they had that. I will look into that later. That's very interesting. But if that's the case, if they had it like in Old World, I do wonder if maybe at some point we're gonna see their version of it here. Because I also wonder, because like the Hellsmiths are very much, like I said, inverted like dwarves. Because regular dwarves, they become like slayers because they really did a big oopsie. And they seek forgiveness. But what would be considered an oopsie for these people? Because like, I don't think they really care about like, oh, you fucked something up and 3 people died. Yeah, man, whatever. Like, happens every Tuesday. Go back in line. So, that's interesting. Yeah, Devin, I think... Although, then again, I am like really snuffing my copium here, and as is everyone. I think maybe we're finally gonna get to the Umbra Nef. Maybe? Hopefully? Because that is something that they have just been kind of teasing us and kind of like rubbing our balls with, like, since the launch of AOS, pretty much. So I think maybe it will be the Umbranef. Also, I'm gonna hydrate real quick. Give me a... Yeah, water. Okay. So yeah, I think that it might be the Umbranef next. We unlock Chaos Demons. Yeah, no, I think that would be cool too. Because like I recently made a video about demons in AOS, which you should totally watch if you haven't already. It's very cool and very fun and very entertaining, or so I've heard. And one thing that I would think was kind of a shame, because I mentioned underlying demons in the video, is kind of how minor they are for the most part. It's like just barely a thing in lore. It's like, oh yeah, you have Furies and you have Familiars, and yeah, that's it basically. Go fuck yourself. So I would be interested in seeing like the actual proper like underlying demons. I think that would be cool. Anything on? Just quickly do something? Yeah, okay. I think that would be cool. Because, for example, I know in Horus Heresy, which I am also kind of getting into as of late, fun fact. I don't know, like, if you play demons there, because it's kind of like a bit more the loosely defined kind of demons. They just have like a general stat profile, but you're very free to customize them and change them up. And I'm actually a big fan of that. I wish maybe Warhammer did that a bit more often with demons. Because in the lore, demons are these weird, unshapeable, multi-formed horrors. And then in the tabletop, it's like, oh no, it's just 10 exact copies of the exact same thing. Which I feel kind of goes against it. So I think maybe underlying demons and having them be a bit more freeform and a bit more weird and a bit more asymmetrical would be pretty cool. Because I mean, why are demons? Why do some of these demons have symmetry? Like why? It makes no sense. But rant over. Moving on. Moving on. Oh yeah, you should. You should. I mean, go for it. Like make your own OCs. I'm a big fan of when people make their own OCs and fan lore of this game. And maybe I was thinking of maybe at some point also doing a video where I make up some of my own lore. I think that would be fun. And we shall. Well, actually, fun fact about the Devin. If I remember correctly, from some recent lore and some things I've heard, apparently Malerion is actually pretty chill. Like compared to how he used to be in the old world, he's actually like pretty chill, pretty nice, relatively speaking. Which I think also is kind of makes sense because Ugu is like the realm of shadows and misdirection. And what would be more misdirecting than the evil-ass shadow demon elves being kind of chill and nice and taking it easy and being a bit helpful. And maybe even being genuinely nicer than the Luminef. That would be really funny. And I would love to see that. I like myself some dark elves, so. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, these are the sub-factions. Okay. Wait, let me get a quick... Oh, lordy. Okay, how the hell am I gonna get this all on the screen? Sorry, Edgar. Look! Wow! So I like to look at maps, can't find single map progress from information red. I actually don't know. I think maybe because no, actually I think like Azir is a bit weird in general when it comes to some lore. So I think I don't know actually. Maybe like in one of the Soulbound, one of the RPG books, but I have no idea why there isn't really like a clear map of it. Oh, that's actually, Devin, good point. Yeah. Like if we know, then things are fucked, and that's bad for everyone. Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna go through these one by one, the subfactions. So, starting off in snazzy purple and gold, the Forge Anathema. The Forge Anathema dominates much of Akshi's adamantine chain, a monument to cruelty and grandeur. Its army is filled with seemingly endless ranks of warriors and vast cohorts of demon machines powered by all manners of esoteric fuels. It is formed of several ziggurats clustered around what was once Mons Varga, a volcano whose core burned so hot that Grimnir is said to have offered its embers to his brother Gruni to light his chaemonic forges. Now its hollowed out corpse has been consecrated to Hashut. Its fires turn to diabolical purposes. Malignant energy seeks the skies shiver with slick, abnormal light, while the acidic rivers that wind through the chain are siphoned to cool its furnaces and spat back out as unnatural poison. Though not the first ziggurat, the Forge Anathema eagerly accepted Hashut's offering. Burning with greed, its overlords, led by Uraktar... Oh, that's the named guy. Jesus, this is difficult to hold. Hang on a second. Okay. Okay, that's better. Most ancient and malign of demon smiths, reap bounties of smoldering realm stone and capture demon essences. They revel in demonstrating this wealth. 100 ensorcelled cannons line every approach to the forge, and beyond these lie rings of more monumental and murderous defenses still. Possessing thrall foundries not just in their native realm but across the realms, the war hosts of the Forge, their rich purple attire a deliberate scorning of Akshi's crimson heritage, are convinced of their own power. Okay, beyond even other Hashutites. Oh, thanks, Croswell. Thanks for the 250. It's very nice of you. Wait, actually, I'm gonna see if I can very quickly... Okay. But thanks a lot. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. Okay. So that was the Forge Anathema. I think it's kind of funny. They have all like these very sort of dwarvish names, you know. Zarvixa, Urzorn, and then the Forge Anathema. Okay. So this was Akshi, and this is Gur, I think. Urzorn. Within the horn-like hills of Korok, east of Gur's heartlands, glowers Urzorn, citadel of the Bull, stronghold of the fanatical Scorched sect. It is said that Hashut dwelt here, teaching his followers to harness the stuff of chaos. Twisted statues of those first disciples fill the Ziggurat's shrine districts. Rebuilt after the city was sundered long ago, every edifice sports carvings and murals displaying the indignities the Father of Darkness suffered at the hands of the ancestor gods, and the wounds he inflicted in turn. The zealous Urzorni consider their tradition supreme. Their pale jade armor is crafted using techniques unchanged since the Age of Myth. Their archaic dialect is nigh on impenetrable, and when they are not at war, they often wear highly ceremonial garb and elaborate headgear. It is in Urzorn that the Bullfather's priests keep their most graven relics. Demon smiths from across the realms petition through gritted teeth to study within the cult's archives. In turn, they offer tributes of weapons and sacred war machines, soon to be unleashed upon the desolated plains of Korok and the brutish orcs and ogres. I'm not gonna say orc, it's a stupid word. Who dare dwell in the shadow of the Dwarven citadel. More bull centaurs are reared in Urzorn than anywhere else, with many expectant Zardron mothers undertaking pilgrimage to Hashut's hallowed dwelling, hoping to receive such a blessing. These mutants form the core of the Ziggurat's fanatical war hosts, crushing enemies on the savannas. Yet the Urzorni also field swarms of hobgoths, often to finish off those trampled by the bull centaurs. Since the direst hour of the Wars of the Broken Promise, the eldritch of the Scorched sect have kept secretive pacts with hobgoths. Though to their flocks, they preach of how all outsiders must be crushed beneath Hashut's hoof. I mean, that's very pragmatic dwarf, you know. To the outsiders, you're like, those dirty hobgoths, they're stupid, they are dumb, they are silly. But then you just make use of them all the same. That's pragmatic. And then we have the others. Jarviksha. I really like their color scheme. I mean, I would say make one if you want a Gilgamesh Chaos Dwarf. I mean, actually, like, thing is, I was already like kind of thinking about how I want to paint them, or outfit them, or do whatever. And I was thinking maybe being like a bit inspired by Dark Iron Dwarfs from World of Warcraft, because I am a nerd like that. I'm a loser like that. I play World of Warcraft. And I was thinking of maybe their lord, their leader, being just decked out in gold. Being like this rich ass, I'm the king of everything, piss off, haha, type of dwarf. That would be cool. So, I mean, I'm sure the Iron Jaws tried to crump them. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Kraknos. But I think, I mean, if you just look at... This is quite something. You don't just... I don't think you just break through that. Okay. Zarvixa. Protruding from the waves of the Sea of Transoros, Zarvixa is a colossal dredger rig lit by a corona of flame shot from its innumerable smokestacks and smelters. To the folks of the Prime Innerlands, it has become a place of infamy, an iron parasite in Shaish's corpus that is never sated no matter how greedily it feeds, and that dispatches war hosts of battle-hardened raiders across the Innerlands to plunder and reave. While proficient in demonsmithery, the Vixian Dwarden are renowned for also using the souls of the dead in their industry. They have mastered the methods of breaking down entire underworlds by draining their magic, burning the spirits in giant arcane furnaces, and ejecting those scraps of soul matter that remain in a toxic ectoplasmic runoff. Such was the fate of Aquinos, an underworld of dead seafarers that lay beneath the waves, whose inhabitants, as well as a treasure of dead maritime kings, were wholesale consumed by Zarvixa's iron tendrils. Zarvixa has come under siege from foes ranging from both vengeful geists to mercenary gargants. It defends itself with a hard-bitten garrison and its ability to crawl stealth-legged across the seabed, as well as the insane menageries of demonic vessels that emerge from its guts. Though Vixian war hosts proudly bear the bloody red of their warrior calling, there is a great divergence of heraldry and tradition between crews. Provided they keep locating vulnerable underworlds for consumption, their peacockish captains are afforded degrees of independence almost unheard of in Hashut's empire. That's actually very cool. So they're like Hashut pirates, basically. And once again, like dwarven pragmatism, they basically turned the complete destruction of underworlds and souls into just a science. The book is pretty good, Reach of Beast. I've only read a few pages, so I'm kind of gonna see how far I can get today. Or maybe I will like skip one or two things. But so far it's actually very good. I'm a big fan of the Chaos Dwarf so far. But right, that leaves one more Chaos Dwarf faction. Muspelzar. Okay, I will say one thing that I wish they did different. And this does not, to be fair, this does not just go for the Chaos Dwarfs. This goes for all dwarves. Give dwarven women beards, you cowards. Like, I thought maybe we would get some, but no. Give them beards. Come on. So you're not a real dwarf if you don't have a beard. I would know. Says a person who is just physically incapable of growing a beard, but that's besides the point. The Muspelzar mountains of Camon are a hateful place. Here lie many minor realm gates to Akshi, their emanations turning the hard earth molten. Metal-sheen smoke scours lungs in minutes, while downpours of alchemical magic turn ice to liquid mercury and skin to seeping oil. But Hashut's children crave Kamon's bounties, and so one of their mightiest ziggurats dominates Muspelzar's ash peaks, a fortress in whose bowels warping flux magics are studied, harnessed and bound into vast armories of experimental munitions. The Muspelzari considered themselves rulers by dint of both endurance and birthright, for in their more hospitable borderlands were many of the first Kazalit Carracks raised. The Zardran ransacked these long-toppled places, desecrating vaults and tombs to recover the most ancient and, in cases, rightfully spurned lore. What their forebears once shrunk from, they embrace. Not even Dwarden can readily endure Muspelzar, and many are sent here from across the Hashutite Empire as punishment. They become indebted to the Muspelzar's sorcerer's masters, to receive the subdermal demon metal grafts and null brands that allow survival. That's basically like, what do you mean, like, almost like cyberware, like evil demonic cyberware. Resplendent in grim black and gold, the armor of the Muspelzarjri is nevertheless sourced from scavenged materials, artificers laboring tirelessly to disguise the corrosion brought on by their own environment. The demon smiths of Muspelzar are as twisted as their violently transient domain, and their creativity runs horrifically deep. Gleefully perverting ancient Kazalit secrets, they craft their arsenals to deliver death in every way imaginable, and many ways best not. Both drifting ether gold and the mutable essence of the change god's demons are craved by the Muspelzarjri, and they intend to monopolize all such power under their aegis. Yeah, no, exactly. That's actually, like up here. That's actually Turadin in Dwarfic runes. Glad someone noticed at least. And oh yeah, of course, yeah. My bad. I as we can clearly see, I have a beard, so I must be the weird, like chaos magic in the air, messing with my brain. You know, it happens. It happens. And yeah, I think like if you want to homebrew some Hellsmiths, I think you should. So far I'm having a good time. I'm really liking this book, and the minis, I got the box like right here. I also think looks very cool. So can recommend. Righto, what do we have here? Next page. Models. A lot of which we cannot buy yet. Womp womp. Still cool though. Imagine playing a game on like a board like this. That would be my dream. There are like so many things where I'm like, man, if they released some of these things as like kits, or as like terrain sets, I would buy them like that, just immediately. They're so cool. Ooh. Here we have a bit long story. Oh, I think this is about Hashut himself. Okay. Time to respect. Okay, time to show respect to the Bullfather. Yeah, be very careful. This chat, this stream is actually secretly done in collaboration with GW to get people to basically be like a gateway drug into buying the set for themselves. They got me deep in their pockets. I'm working for James Workshop himself. So be very careful. Okay. And it's actually very funny because Skaven and Grantline's Death are actually like on my list as well, and are still on my list. So maybe one day I'll do them as well. Also, I gotta quickly add a bit of a charger. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Righto. Edgar. There we go. Let Edgar watch. Okay. So, story time. Hashut story time. Yeah, no, I do feel that. I've only played the game like once or twice as well. It's only like 5 people, and they are all like 45-year-olds. How do you say this nicely? Like the most typical 45-year-old white dudes imaginable, and that's just don't really mesh well with that. So yeah, I feel ya. I feel ya. Okay, anyway, stop talking with chat. Battletome. Stop talking with chat. Read the book. You consult the final slates of Morgrabal, firebinder of the Forge Anatema. Before the stone flesh claims me entirely, I etch here what I have learned in sacred Zaralit script. Let us speak now of our god, the father of darkness. Fools will tell you that he's a demon or some other primordial being, born in fires older than the realms. We know him for what he is. Hashut, the one true ancestor god. In the days of myth, before the time of revelations, the godly forebears of our race gathered in the mountains of Kamon. There they beheld the nascent dwarven clans and drew plans to raise them up. They agreed that each would establish themselves in a different realm, the better to foster their people and safeguard their destiny. First of this divine lineage was Hashut. From him we inherited the principles of governance and prosperity. Nobly he offered to shoulder the burden of tending both Akshi and Kamon. With fire, steel, and justice would he forge a cosmic empire. Yet his siblings balked. Valaya, second sister and heart guardian, cast doubt upon his bold ambitions. Oafish Grimnir objected out of hand, making groundless boasts of ties to Akshi. Grungni was conniving. With feigned humility, he dazzled his siblings with his frivolous schemes for the Golden Realm and poured scorn upon Hashut's designs out of jealousy. None spoke in their elder's defense. Instead, with words of hollow flattery, they bade him settle lowly Gur, claiming that only he could color its beastly heart. As the first sire, Hashut had every right to ignore these words, not least for their insincerity. Yet these were not subjects, but kin. Despite his anger and his humility and wisdom, he relented. In the mountains of Korok, he and his servants raised the citadel of Urzorn. He broke the god bulls and came to respect their tenacity. Across the realms, Dwarden clanked tankards to honor Hashut, who toiled uncomplainingly in stubborn clay. Gazing upon their elders' works with jealous eyes and the wonders he wrought in such rugged lands, Grungni, Grimnir, and Valaya came to Urzorn, spreading accusations of the use of proscribed artifice driven by the spirits of beasts. Yet Hashut had done no such thing. He had simply done what he had been bidden. He had tamed Gur. It was only out of the love he bore Valaya, who ever spoke with utmost concern for their people's souls, that the firstborn made an oath that no such works had been, nor would be created under his rule. All might have been settled, had not Grungni snidely denigrated his brother's works in Gur compared to the mechanical wonders he had made in Kamon. The Whitebeard's words fanned the flames of envy. Now Hashut's siblings openly gave insult. They relentlessly passed judgment, heedless of challenges they had never had to face. Takturgi it was, the great betrayal. As Hashut's rage burned, so too did his resolve harden. If his siblings had abandoned respect of their elder, then his oath was null. No longer would he heed the wishes of his petty-minded kin or any other. Hashut cracked into the realm of chaos. He learned to trammel demonkind, daring the perils of that nether place. He quested for the Forge of Souls, where the very essence of creation could be repurposed. There he seized impossible strength. There he transcended his divine status. As Hashut's faithful wrought grand engines under his tutelage, he made his plans. First, he would be revenged on his kin. For Grungni and Grimnir, he fashioned gifts that would amplify their follies and lead to their ruin. In Grimnir was stoked a mindless fury that saw him cleave continents and peaks with his axe. In spades of madness, Grungni left weeping craters amongst Kamon. Yet himself a peddler of untruths, the Whitebeard sensed this. Yet himself a peddler of untruths, the Whitebeard sensed the deception. Clinging to his sanity, he forged change to bind himself and his brother atop the same mountain where the siblings had held council long ago. There, they would linger until their rage cooled. Yet their salvation came early, from the fickle stars. Okay, so that's actually like, finally, how we know that. Because I was always wondering how those two ended up on that mountain, so now we know. Wow! DNS, yeah, this is, for now I'm doing lore, and if we get to it, if this doesn't take too long, I'm also planning on reading through some of the rules. But it just kind of depends on how long this will take, and everything. Like, it's a pretty big book. I don't know if I'll be able to go through it entirely in one day. I'll try to go as far as I can. So, we're just gonna have to see. Anyway. The rest of their false ancestors and their misguided flocks marched upon Urzorn. Falaya sought conference with Hashut and his acolytes, whose power had grown 1,000-fold, freed from the fetters of appeasement. The warmth of the hearth was gone. Now words between brother and sister were cold and hard as stone. Battle burned the land and sky. Hashut was an unstoppable force, inflicting dire wounds on his siblings. Only a final gambit of Falaya, an act so base that none shall speak of it, saw his physical form sundered, even as she too passed from our people's sights. Urzorn's wonders were defiled, its masters slain or hidden amongst the masses. In fear, the false ancestors sought to erase the memory of their eldest. The legends of Hashut were forbidden, then forgotten. His temples were sealed, but deep beneath the mountains, those shrines remained. One day, would they open again? That's cool. So I do really like this story. I think this was the one that they posted to Warhammer Community, I think, earlier. But I really like kind of like the... Because obviously this is written from a very particular perspective, you know? It's like written by themselves. But if you like know the lore of the other dwarves, and a bit like Age of Chaos, and a bit like the general lore of the setting, you can kind of like see and read between the lines in a few places. And I also like that it's a bit nuanced. Because like the question is, this story obviously paints Hashut as like a poor little baby who was bothered by his horrible siblings. Oh no! But was he though? You know what I mean? So I like this. This is getting my brain. This is getting my brain going in the nice ways. Hell yeah, left-handed dragon. You go. In the name of the Bullfather. In the name of Hashut. I'm quickly gonna flip through some pages here. I'm just gonna see what we have here. Society. Demonsmith's Crafts. Rise of Darkness. Oi, 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 this is big. The Black Hammer Falls. Showcase. Showcase. Okay. And we have the specific models, I think. Yeah. And the different thingies. More pictures. And then we get to lore. Okay. So that's... It's 14. We are currently in page 16. Oh goodness me, that's 30 more pages of lore. Okay. No time like the present, I guess. ASMR reading stream. Grandpa Turdin reads you a bedtime story before bed. My grandkids are gonna have the worst time of their lives. Or the best, maybe. Who knows? Maybe if they're true believers of Hashut. In the cataclysms of the Age of Chaos, the Dwarden of the Cassonid Empire were forced back into their cracks. One by one, shield walls fell and mineworks were overrun by gibbering demonkind. Stubbornness had always been a dwarven virtue. Now, though, pride turned its shade darker. While some clans fled to Azir or sought refuge in the skies, others would not retreat. Unwilling to abandon their riches, they made a fateful decision. With ancient rune lore, they sealed their gates, trapping the demons in the bowels of the cracks and themselves within the upper levels. Though the treasure halls were saved, The same could not be said for the trade routes and overland farms they grudgingly relied on. Privation set in, though the Dwarden imagined themselves strong as stone. Perhaps they believed defiance would bring favor from their ancestor gods. A none came. Still, the demons scratched at the rock beneath them and whispered in dire tongues. Unable to properly vent their fear lest they be scorned as weak, the Dwarden succumbed to a desperate bitterness. No record lists which runesmith or lordling in the dark time first thought to use. No record lists which runesmith or lordling, words are difficult, in the dark time first thought to use the trapped demons for power. And yet gradually, those first experiments gathered their hesitant pace. Demonic entities were crushed under claps of runic stone and turned to arcane protoplasm. Rock was chiseled through, null siphons employed to extract infernal essences. Even as the world fell apart, the Dwarden did not know how to give up. And then, a voice of molten rock offered a way out. Aided by acolytes who had long lurked in the Carax, Hashut spoke to the clans. He named himself a primordial deity of the Dwarden, knowledge of whom the ancestor gods had hidden. He had stolen fire from the dark gods and would teach his scions to turn their foes into strength. Sorcery, never outright forbidden but shunned for more stable runecrafts, was the key. In turn, Hashut demanded tribute. Of pain, of worship, and of realms remade to his merciless designs. Some Dwarden, believing themselves abandoned by the ancestors and recognizing the firstborn of the gods, paid heed. I have some thoughts I will be telling in a second, but first I'm gonna keep reading. Others balked, spitting scorn on their voice in the hearth fires, but their exhaustion was bone deep. Their foes many and the whispers relentless. As years ground on, they convinced themselves there was no craft they could not master. Pacts were sworn in the dark. Dwarden are well suited to using demons as arcane fuel. As well as a natural resistance to magic, they have the endurance to spend days carving fastidious script and speaking the incantations of binding, where a human or elf would falter and be violently overcome. Yet the perfectionism this demanded became an obsession with control at any cost, and with each success, there grew in the Dwarden a belief in their own supremacy and the weakness of others. As Hashut unveiled new depths of knowledge, advancements gathered pace like a mounting avalanche. When they had expanded the demons sealed within those holds, becoming the first ziggurats, the Dwarden dared to summon more from the realm of chaos, trapping them within black iron cages. Though experiments were made into binding even the greatest entities aligned to the ruinous powers, the Dwarden mainly preyed upon infernal flotsam, jetsam, born of unaligned chaos, beings easier to grind into blast powder or boil into raw energy. In time, even simple spears sported the bulbous grates within which chaotic essences were burned up. The Dwarden justified their growing cruelty as pragmatism, their lust for power and necessity for survival. By the time tusks jutted from their jaws and a creeping curse of stone seized the flesh of those who wielded Hashut's magics, there was no longer a way back. Yet for the reborn Zardaron, a crisis loomed. Their demon forges demanded pain and suffering as much as timber and coal to burn. Civil war against the last holdout clans had provided, but these were now all but extinct. Gazes turned to the horizon. For having shackled the Ether, the Dwarden saw the realms and their inhabitants as tools to satisfy their ambitions. And so, the Hellsmiths of Hashut made plans to muster. So, I have some thoughts. So, isn't it convenient? Isn't it incredibly bloody convenient that just when the dwarves are at their lowest, and when they're already assaulted by chaos, that a voice speaks to them, claiming to be some lost ancestor god, and coming up with a sob story that's probably very much connected to them, you know? They were abandoned by the ancestor gods. Well, hey, I was abandoned by the ancestor gods too. We're the same, right? And that this voice then just happened to show up at that time. Just like that. A forgotten ancestor god. Wow. Ain't that crazy, So yeah, I'm getting some theories here in my I'm getting some theories here in my head, because let me see. Okay. Hashutite Society. Many of the blood lineages that hold power in the Ziggurats have ruled since the Khazalid Empire. Known as the royal clans, they dwell in opulence amongst the upper tiers of their strongholds, hoarding their people's arcane and technological secrets. Okay, also I just thought of something. I was talking about like the Chaos Dwarfs being like inverted dwarfs, right? Dwarfs, they built their fortresses like deeper and deeper underground, and the Chaos Dwarfs, they built these Ziggurats that are higher and higher and higher. They literally just connected in my brain. Anyway, beneath them, descending into a Ziggurat's bowels in accordance with their favor, dwell clans of lesser standing. Those who provide more mundane labor. Ambition is rife, yet tightly controlled, and upstart clans must prove that they can provide greater prospects than supplanted predecessors. Though they prize serving one's own will, the Zardrons still feel their ingrained inclination towards oath-making. Unable to countenance true pledges of loyalty, they bargain in a more cynical fashion, trading not only with material resources, but also with pacts of temporary binding allegiance. From birth, a Zardron exists in debt to their supposed betters. Lowborn clans provide laborers, striving to claw enough influence to be bequeathed industrial holdings of their own. Despots require demonsmiths to empower their hellish weapons and, in exchange, muster armies from their kin, or those who have promised service at the sorcerer's command. Pacts also exist between clans of equal standing to build weapons of terrible magnitude. This way, they both attract the favor of potent patrons and gouge the strength of rivals. Yet, ultimately, each of the Zardrons seeks individual advancement. Though their soul ultimately belongs to Hashut, they will barter the most grueling servitude in pursuit of gain. Would-be apprentices in dark smithery endure every indignity to eke knowledge from their cruel masters, all while plotting vengeance. Each party's overlords scrutinize prospective mating bonds to ensure that they will produce useful offspring. A dwarven satisfied with their birth clan may seek adoption into another, betraying guarded secrets in exchange. The dwarven will negotiate the terms of their oaths down to the most particular integer or hour. Yet canny power brokers can wait decades before calling on resources or service oaths, or demand them from the swearer's descendants, creating a legacy of subservience that spans centuries. Taken together, these oaths are known as a dwarven's wage of toil. Through the fastidious cataloguing and brutal enforcement of centuries-long pacts, the Hashutite Empire possesses a choking sort of stability, fueling its conquest. For all that, they are a tyranny that binds every stratum of the Ziggurats in hateful coexistence, strangling the Dwarden the more they try to grasp their own chains. Words are difficult. Oi oi oi. Anyway. To renege on an obligation suggests weakness, giving rivals a chance to negate their own pledges without retribution, and such is the pride and greed of the clan lords that none would consider such a thing even at their most desperate. The Dwarden would have to depose Hashut to truly shatter their bonds. Should the Bullfather rescind his dark gifts or turn them upon his children, the fate they sought so desperately to escape would be visited upon them fourfold. It's kind of like giving, for those who kind of know a little bit about medieval Japan and the shogunate system, it's kind of giving like a little bit that in a way. Like we are very much bound to your clan and to society as a whole, and there is very little individual freedom. Like from the second you're born, you are in a caste. This is how it works. Enjoy. Again, this is then kind of like a bit of an example, I think, of a society. Okay. The Demonsmith's Craft. Hashut's faithful serve tradition only so far as it serves them. Pretensions to old glories are simply that, pretensions that are abandoned when deemed inconvenient. Chaos renders in the material world a reflection of its adherents' inner natures. It paints a grim picture, then, that much of what the Dwarden construct using the powers bears a monstrous aspect. In Lost Days, the Khazalid Empire harnessed magical rune lore for many purposes. Amongst these was the fashioning of imposing automata. Unlike the elves of Hysh with their gracile creations, the Dwarden did not use these constructs of steel and stone to remove the need for physical labor. Instead, they performed tasks that mortal Dwarden were simply incapable of, or else acted as tireless guardians, bearing the stern visages of venerated ancestors. Yet the Zardron have willfully corrupted the craft of their forebears with the influence of chaos. They still produce automata, but now the sigils hammered across these iron frames binds the demons animating them. And instead of their forebears, many of these devices now bear the glowering visage of the bull. To the Zardron, it is only natural that their most fearsome war machines, the towering dominators and the flame-snorting tauruses upon which demonsmiths rise, assume an echo of Hashut's form. Through their presence, lesser beings learn the appropriate dread for the coming of the Bullfather and his chosen scions. The Dwarden still produce less revered, if no less obsessively wrought, automata to toil in their forges. Eternally screaming demon engines with fourfold cutter limbs or sentient crushing devices that groan and gnash with teeth of dirty iron. Only war constructs, however, truly embody the might of Hashut, and so only they may assume the holy toweroid form. Perhaps this also explains the eerie vigilance that exudes from such devices, for the Zardron are taught that the Father of Darkness is always watching and always judging. It is not only through their forge work that chaos has changed Dwarden. However much they claim mastery over it, every true Zardron preens over their talents, tusks and patches of stone flesh as lustrous marks of majesty. The vindictive mutilations they recon captured and untainted Dwarden warriors do not, they tell themselves, speak to any secret self-spite. The muscled mutants known as bull centaurs are heralded as Hashut's true children, their births marked by extravagant sacrificial rites. Talks of other, less welcome aberration being whelped is ruthlessly suppressed. Yet, rumors endure. As machines hiss around them, forged laborers mutter of wicked sorcerous creatures with the bodies of beasts and heads of Dwarden elders lurking in the shadows of Hashut's high temples. And that the masters of the ziggurats seek many strange practices to stave off their transformations. But to speak of all this is to speak of the choices that led them to this end, and that is a route that none dare to embark down lightly. A hammer is a tool. It performs its function adequately, but without majesty. That those who persist in bowing before the false ancestors attribute some particular spiritual quality or righteousness to such a crude implement tells you much of their weakness. Fools speak of the hammer as a divine symbol of Gruni, maker of lies. They kneel before it, they pray to a mere implement. Such craven behavior is reflected in demonkind. Those feckless entities can be stymied through the use of such blunt implements. We have found that they are made most malleable through unsubtle stimulus. The searing brand of flame, the supplicants of raw agony, and the crushing press of hammer and inscribed piston. Not all of the old ways have been discarded. When we strike one of the black sigils upon a sacred iron frame, we strike it with force enough to send cinder sparks straight from the abyss into the air. Not every hammer is a thing to be scorned by true-blooded Zardron. There are those who are worthy, those who bear the mark of the Bullfather, who are cooled in blood and pledged to his mighty purposes. Great Hashut is a god of the forge in his way. His skills at the smith's labors surpassed any of his trials. To his faithful, he has bequeathed his sacred black hammers. They are tools of creation and destruction, creation of our dominion over the wreckage of the realms, destruction to all who deny our supremacy. Oh, and here you see them like being put together, I guess. It's like the world's biggest gunpla kit. We've already been going for 1 hour and 25 minutes. Whoa, okay. Okay. I'm kind of thinking what to do here. So, shall I keep like with the overarching lore, or shall I just jump to some of the units, like lore? Because we've already been going for a while, and I mean we're not gonna go through the entire book at this rate. So I mean, what do you guys want? Like, do you want me to keep going here and just kind of see how far we can get, or go straight to the units? What do you think would be most? What do you think would suit you best, basically? Hello, formula. I'm just reading through the book. A lot, actually. It's great, actually. I'm very interested. Like, there's a lot of interesting lore in here so far. And I have a lot of theories already about Hashut and his true identity. And I think this is very well written so far. I really like kind of how still, despite being demons and stuff, there is still a very clear science to it. Because, I mean, dwarves are dwarves at the end of the day. You will never catch a dwarf putting on, like, a fucking mask and a sacrificial dagger and just going hamana, hamana, hamana. For them, this is science. They study it, they learn how it works, they build it, they master it. And I find it very interesting. But we're just kind of seeing how far we can get. I will just, I guess, kind of keep reading this. And maybe, like, once we're done with these bits, I might leave the book for now. And either just, you know, but we'll see. So far, I'm having a good time, though. This is very cool. So, even at the height of the Age of Chaos, or Age of Revelations as the Dwarvins knew it, for here did their god uplift them. The servants of Hashut did not spill forth in paroxysms of iron and fire. The lands around them held a vast bounty, and to the last drag they would be methodically exploited. With cruel precision, the Zardron sought sites of power in their immediate domains and bled them dry. The Dwarden not batting an eye at the natural desolation they so willfully spread. All they took was fat into their smelters and crucibles, used to forge new mechanisms of massacre. Heaving arsenals and stockpiles were amassed. There was no unseemly haste for conquest, for the Dwarden had decreed that when their enemies had burned themselves out warring with one another, they would emerge to enact utter and overwhelming obliteration. Ziggurats rose in every realm save Azir, and there was always a desire to claim some far-flung resource or establish a facility at some bountiful locale. Exploratory war hosts battled against all manner of foes, and tales of darksome Dwarden spread. Yet the true magnitude of the Hashutites' malfeasance was veiled by smoke and their own steady expansion. Few outsiders wished to contest the ominous desolation spreading through already inhospitable mountains. The demon fires, vented by grim industry, burned geists to ashes, and the Hashutite souls were already destined for their god's furnace. Orcs could still tire of battering fruitlessly against the Ziggurats, assuming they could be reached through the polluting murk. Only their Dwarden kin fully grasped the danger posed by the Hashutites, yet their close-lipped tendencies seldom refused to divulge such ancestral shame to allies who could have lent aid. That is the most typically dwarfy thing ever. Like, hey, Brock, there are like evil demons over there. Maybe we should ask someone for help. And I was like, no, no, because then we would have to admit that that there is something bad, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to. No, I didn't see anything. Nothing. It's fine. No worries. I mean, just could you imagine the look that Sigmar probably gave, like, the dwarves when the Chaos Dwarfs finally, like, started doing their things? Being like, oh, sure would have been nice if someone had warned us about this. Oh, sentient flames. I haven't gotten to those yet, but that does sound cool. Amongst themselves, the Dwarden recounted old sagas and half tales and nursed their grudges, seeking battle against the Oathbreakers wherever possible. But they were too stubborn to unify, too distracted by other foes to match the concentrated might of the Zardron, and so could not check their steady expansion. That's also very dwarfish. As for the forces of chaos, their relationship with the Hashutites was fraught. Many were incensed at the Dwarden's use of demons as a source of crude power, and in turn the Dwarden saw them as useful tools at best and pawns of ruin at worst, willfully ignoring the irony therein. Yet other followers of chaos came to treat with Hashut's children, seeking to trade for arcane weapons and hell-forged armor. The Hashutites were willing to trade the more mundane products of their forges with any willing to pay their prices in souls or esoteric treasures. for these wares were still of singular quality. The legions of the Ever-Chosen soon became their prime customers. Most of their arms and armor were crafted in Zaldron forges, for Archaon had proved capable of wielding demonkind as a tool without succumbing to its influence, and was perhaps worthy of acknowledgement to the Dwarden. The Skaven, by contrast, were roundly despised. Corrupted though the Zardron psyche was, it still railed at the inherent mania of the Redmen. No matter how corrupted a dwarf gets, they still have just instinctual hatred of Skaven. That's funny. Their use of volatile warpstone was seen as evidence of their foolishness, for though the Dwarden had experimented gleefully with all forms of realmstone, every attempt to manipulate the warp rock had ended in disaster. Hashut kept himself aloof from the great game, and his followers were canny enough not to overly antagonize any of the Dark Gods by thieving their demon legions or overly favoring their rivals with weapons. Still, their scorn of the Horned Rat, who devastated, consumed, and toppled without any degree of artifice, was no secret. Ironic then that it would be the Skaven who in many ways forced the Dwarden's hand. The Black Hammer falls. As the crisis that would become known as the Hour of Ruin approached, its omens did not go unnoticed. In every ziggurat, sorcerers spied portents in molten blood. Harvester engines began to malfunction with intolerable regularity, having absorbed some form of magical poison from the ley lines they ransacked. The relentless clang of Hashut's anvil, always present in the recesses of its subjects' minds, seemed briefly to cease, as if within his cavernous lair deep in the realms of chaos, the dark deity sensed something amiss, and strained to hear its coming. For all their pretension to control, the scope of the Vermin Doom nevertheless astounded the Zardron. The Skaven ripped through the cosmos, or in the Great Parch, twisted a third of the landscape into the loathsome gnaw. Ziggurats in Akshi and Kamon served the worst, yet even those in the crystal chasms of Hish or Ulguin Shademoors were not unaffected. But Paranoia had seen the Dwarden prepare well. They had strengthened their walls with the substance of pain and spite. Some had even constructed esoteric engines to absorb the calamitous energies released by the Skaven plot. While some of these overloaded catastrophically, leveling entire ziggurats, others succeeded in leeching away the magics of ruin and so withstanding the blast. In Kamon, the Mushpel Jari opened sluiceways that unleashed alchemical runoff to liquefy Skaven swarms. Akshi's Forge Anathema churned out cannons by the score to bombard Ratman spilling from the Gnaw. Though the Dwarden also carved passages through the mountains to funnel the horde towards their foes. The dark magics absorbed by the Dwarden's machineries were redirected to annihilate emergent Gnaw holes, or else unleashed in more indirect forms of arcane devastation. The Zardron would have continued indulging their spite had Varangard emissaries not ridden to their gates. Bitter experience had taught the Knights of Ruin not to presume command over the Dwarden. Rather, they reported to the ruling councils that all the unfolding mania was in accordance with the Ever-Chosen design. In spreading the corruption now undermining Cosmos, the Skaven played their allotted part. The Dwarden could also reap the rewards if they ceased waylaying the Redmen and targeted their true enemies. The Zardron's clock of conquest, once set to the beat of centuries, had forcibly lurched ahead. Action was demanded, or else the realms would fall to others. The Bullfather would not look kindly on such failure. Nor was this the only factor. After centuries of self-imposed exile, Grungni's return had met with such vitriolic outrage that the blazes atop each temple of Hashut glowed like hellish beacons. Most were content to wait for him to show his hand, the better to crush his works in totality. Yet one force already bore the grubby marks of his maker, the Stormcast Eternals. Since their first striking, the Zardron had observed Sigmar's Chosen with a mixture of scorn and curiosity. Manlings, divinely empowered or not, were as ants before them. But the spark of their immortal souls carried Grungni's divine traces. Many demon-smiths offered especially fine weapons in exchange for captured Stormcast spirits to dissect. The heavenly hosts knew that something sinister lurked in the mountains, but their strengths had more pressing uses than plunging into those binding, murky veils. So basically they strapped Stormcast to a chair and then kind of looked at how they worked, let me put it that way. Took them apart as lab rats. That's fun. Such was the case until the events at Factory Ordo Sis. Ordo Sis was an outpost at the edge of the Forge Anathema's desolated influence, charged to extract a seam of emberstone tainted by demon gore. So thick was the corruption that flesh sizzled from any who lacked Hashut's blessing. So the Dwarden believed. They did not factor in the Ruination Chambers, Stormcast whose sheared souls could resist the most hateful magics. Merciless and grim, one such chamber had pursued fleeing Skaven into the adamantine chain, heedless of the dark magic swirling. Their path led them right to the Dwarden. Expecting to encounter Redman warlocks or accursed scavenge kings from neighboring Aridian, the Stormcast were instead met with blunderbuss fusillades, hellflame salvos, and phalanxes of snarling warriors that ground into them as furiously they themselves pressed forwards. In turn, the Dwarden found that these manlings did not instantly falter as had been expected. They stood, and during each groveling hour, inch by bitter inch, the Stormcast seemed to even gain ground, moving towards the factory's gates. Gorgrun, overseer at Factory Ordo Sis, would not permit himself the embarrassment of defeat, even honest defeat. Hobgrot runners had been sent to the nearby tower of the sorcerer Varbula. As the second day of battle fell, the vengeful demonsmith arrived upon her flaming towers, followed by a stampede of bellowing bull centaurs and snorting dominator engines. Even the Ruination Chamber broke under such unleashed might. It was little comfort to Gorgrun. Forced to cede control of the factory to Varbula, his wage of toil now placed him in its deepest mines to the count of centuries. Not a lick of lightning remained on the field. Yet as news of the incursion spread, the Zardron felt only fury. Too often had they been contested. Too little respect had been shown. Had their plans continued, their victory would have been brutal, but swift at least. Yet it seemed their rivals did not wish this mercy. They wished to meddle and thus earn more lingering punishments. So be it. The gongs would sound. The conquest would begin. Now. Sacred groves and their face spirit defenders would burn. Manling hovels would crumble, and the red man would cower, regardless of Archaon's demands. But the greatest pains waited for those Dwarden who denied Hashut's tyranny. In the adamantite chain stood many ancient holds, one of which bore the names of a hated false ancestor, Grimnir's Firehold. Long had the Zardron plotted to lay to waste. There was no better target upon which to demonstrate their intent. Okay. Ooh, photos. Wow. Oh, what's this? Hang on. Oh. Didn't know we had one of these. Oh, that's good to know. Very nice for me to only figure that out after an hour and 40 minutes that we have one of those. Uraktar. The big man. Yeah, remember, it is always morally correct to go after Skaven. Even Skaven go after Skaven. You know, it's just that's just the way of the world. You don't need to give a reason for it. Just because they're Skaven. Okay, Uraktar, the big man himself, the big Kahone, with literal balls of rock, probably by this point. Most of the Zardron's ancestors lie beyond judgment. The remains were consigned to the furnaces or else lie cold in tombs, so malice-filled that few dare enter. One endures though, and his grip on power has never slackened. He is Uraktar, the first demonsmith, and his venerability is matched only by his wickedness. None are so learned in Hashut's arts as Uraktar, for he is said to have studied under the Father of Darkness himself. Though he presides over the Forge Anathema, having lured its hierarchs into the Bullfather's service, he claims to have aided Hashut in wrenching knowledge from the realm of chaos deep within the citadel of Urzon. If this is true, then Tare is one of the most ancient mortals alive. His sense of superiority certainly seems to have been honed over millennia. He refuses to look upon hobgods, let alone accept their service. The horns crowning his brows are hailed as signs of favor, and thousands have fallen to his conjured fires and crafted weapons. Once Tar-possessed acolytes, charged solely with tallying such atrocities committed by his creations. Now, if he indulged in such recounting, the list would perhaps never end. Yet for all of the depths of magic Tar has plumbed, all the wealth he has amassed, and heights of influence he has attained, he has not been spared Hashut's spiteful impositions. The magical petrifications that afflicts all Zardoran sorcerers has long menaced him. Blech. Transforming most of his body into a cracked basalt aglow with hate. By now, this curse should have claimed him several times over, and though it grants strength and resilience, Tar knows that he cannot deny it forever. Only sheer, prideful will has kept Tar from succumbing. Will and an obsessive pursuit of arcane secrets to stem his degradation. Some are disclosed by contracts in the Varangard, for many of those champions bear arms and armor forged by the first demonsmith. Others originate from Tar's diabolical studies. In one hand, he grips the stave Dumakas, supposedly the first chaos-bound artifact created by Hashut's hand. Tar has honed and perhaps jealously guarded a spell to project a measure of his curse through his staff as an umbra of roiling magic. Any engulfed are agonizingly transmuted to obsidian, black glass, or other volcanic material before being shattered and turned into raw materials. In truth, this grants Tar slim physical respite. It does, though, offer spiteful satisfaction. That is hilarious. Gorakos, Towers steed. Say that 10 times fast. Jesus. Oh, sorry, Jesus. Hashut, is similarly unique. Hashut's first acolytes are said to have sought anything to power their work, including the souls of the great bull sires of Korok, agonizingly dissected and rendered down. Into Urak Tar's bronzed mount was the most powerful of these scraps of spirit sealed. Perhaps as a result, over the centuries, an eerie consciousness has gestated within the construct. While most Tauruses are immobile when unridden, Gorakos has been known to move of its own accord, its head slowly grinding to track those who enter its master's presence. Such an aberration of unintended willfulness would be quickly disposed of if Gorakos did not occasionally rumble primordial secrets. Secrets that have served Tar more than once. Tar knows that if he is to slip Hashut's shackles, he must follow in his steps. He must attain godhood. Such an appallingly arrogant conceit is but one more step in the long procession he has walked. His war hosts are a testament to his pride. Replete with wealthy clans and promising sorcerers, he is bound into eternal terms of service. He commands the finest war engines, many of which were salvaged from the bowels of Urzorn through Tar's ancient influence with the priesthood, before being repaired and filled with hate. Tar sees the hour of ruin and the chance for conquest it offers as a call to truly commence his self-deifying mission. He led the despoiling of Grimnir's Firehold, yet his true goal was to plunder the Fireslayer's vaults. Within, he has discovered something that has piqued his fascination. They are really like teasing, like, ooh, Grimnir's Firehold, ooh, they found something, ooh. Yeah, I know, right? At this point, like, seeking godhood, you basically get that free with your Chaos membership. You know, it's like, okay, now you're a follower of Chaos, good job. You have dental services, you get 10% off on, like, buying your cool spooky masks and weapons. And also, here's your license to attain godhood. That's just... Okay, I think I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead now, because my throat is beginning to hurt a little bit. I just kind of want to see... I kind of want to see what Uraktar's rules are real quick, actually. Because I'm curious. I want to know. Ooh. Okay. Let me see here. A Hashutite Pantheon. Oh. Okay, wait. I'm gonna go back and check in a second. First, I wanna see what his deal is. By the below the content my power points. Oh. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty useful, actually. Huh. Okay, wait. I'm gonna go back now. I'm gonna go back. Where is it? I want to know. It's here. This what means me. Okay, well, I'm sure I'll come across it eventually. I think what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna read this one, the Infernal Taurus, and after that, maybe quickly flip through some things of the book, and then kind of see where I go from there, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the entire book today. Page 16, you say? If only some of these pages were numbered, wouldn't that be crazy? Oops. 16. Oh yeah, I think I might have accidentally skipped this. Let me see. The false ancestors, Hashut's feckless kin, betrayed us. Blinkered Falaya, false-tongued Gruni, coal-brained Grimner, maudlin Gazul, the whimpering tallier of grudges, the ever-absent wanderer, and skulking mistress of the caves. None demonstrated the lordship that we are owed. They rose against their rightful elder, sought to shame him and forget him. When ruin came, they were too weak to stand in our defense. We rejected them utterly. Those who still cling to these false deities, we deliver up to Hashut's burning justice with relish. In place of these failed deities, we shall craft our own divinity. Hashut is our lord and master, and to him we all pay tribute. But our ancestors left legacies of glory and acquisitions. On these we build with each act of will. So why should the worthiest of us not set our sights upon the highest throne? To become the first of a new pantheon, formed under Hashut's burning gaze. Impossibility is a word of the weak. Even a mountain can be torn down by those with spirit enough to break one stone at a time. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. I like that. Also, that has to be one of the hardest quotes ever. Like, that has to be... They were... Damn. So why should the worthiest of us not set our sights upon the highest throne? To become the first of a new pantheon, formed under Hashut's burning gaze. Yeah, I'm just... With some of these quotes and phrases, they go hard in this book. Like, this is some real good stuff. That's some... Okay. We're right. Final page for the day. And then after that, maybe a bit of chatting or whatever. We'll see. At the apex of Zardron's society are the Demonsmiths. Without these sorcerers, the weapons of Hashut's scions would fall silent. And without those weapons, the powers that Dwarden damned themselves to possess cannot be channeled. Theirs are lives of unimaginable luxury. For they are few, and the ambitions of those reliant upon them many. Entire clans stand in their thrall. Factories across the realms produce engines requiring their touch and offer tribute in turn. Yet despite their ostentation, make no mistake that the souls of the Demonsmiths are rancid. Nothing concerns them save satisfying their own ambitions. and they clutch onto power no matter how deeply it burns them. From youth, a prospective demonsmith's clan bargains for their apprenticeship to one of the Ziggurats' withered masters. Though all Zardron have an inherent paranoia of sharing knowledge, in truth these sorcerers covet pupils. A worthy protege accentuates their legacy, and unpromising students simply vanish, though their masters always seek to eke out a few more years of life until the Stoneflesh curse claims them. Gee, I wonder what happens to those failed apprentices. Coincidentally, Master Ungor has been feeling very well ever since his last apprentice went missing. He looks a bit healthier. That's weird. Huh. Weird. Either way, this does not beget kindness in training. An acolyte must intone incantation until their tongue is seared black and blood chokes their throats. They carve runes of binding without respite for days on end, knowing that the slightest error will see them consumed by demons. A failed apprentice is no different from a misfiring gun. Worthless and best discarded. This treatment strips any trace of nobility from the demonsmiths, and perhaps prepares them to wield Hashut's teachings. A demonsmith's magic manifests as choking smog and evil ash, melting flesh from bones or concealing minions behind piles of darkness. The sorcerers invoke Hashut's fires to turn armor into a searing coffin or grant an earthly resistance into each scale of their servant's garb by awakening Zarlit inscriptions carved upon them. Demonsmiths go to battle with war machines they empower and consider each act of destruction these tools perform as proof of their strength. However, to truly prove themselves, a demonsmith must craft a construct of true power, most often an infernal Taurus. The infernal Tauruses are living, nigh indestructible idols sculpted from materials such as jade, obsidian, or bronze, and formed in the image of a huge malevolent bull. Arcane scripts cover their faceted flanks in eye-searing patterns, and Drasgar initiates chant while anointing the nascent constructs with gore. Such rituals are necessary to successfully bind the hundreds of captive, outraged demons required to empower such constructs. However, the process is perilous, and invocations and ritual alone are not always enough to prevent the Taurus from erupting in a wave of hellish fire. A demonsmith who succeeds in crafting such a statue construct is exalted. Their Taurus will stand proud atop the high temple of Hashut that crowns each ziggurat, or, should it be especially fine, even within that unearthly fane. In times of war, the sorcerer will mount the statue bearing their mark and speak the guttural incantations that stoke it to life. Flames spilling from eyes and nostrils, a Taurus eschews grace for burning force. Words. Diabolical heat glows within its etching and emanates from them in a ruinous haze. A beat of their wings unleashes a wave of cinder and hell flame that devastates and twists trees like spines, and transforms living bodies into screaming statues of ash. Exhorted by its creator, a Taurus rides at the head of the Hashutite war stampedes, gaining momentum with each shuddering gallop, enough to smash through a Sigmarite shield wall like some cataclysmic fireball. Dwarden... Oh, wait. Need to get into character. Dwarden do not naturally grasp the ether. In serving the bull, we do not accept a gift, but seal the bargain. A thing given freely has no worth. Over time, the flesh of those who call upon the power of the Father of Darkness petrifies to stone. Hashut's price, we name it. It begins in the extremities. A finger, a foot. It can take centuries to fully claim us. Centuries to forge a legacy. To fashion the means to counteract the grip of rock. Eventually, though, claim us it shall. Hashut intends this. Decay will never blight us. He preserves our glory into eternity. Those who excel are set atop the ziggurat to preside across our conquered lands. The weak are ground down and used as sorcerer's fuel. One last act of servitude. Once again, this goes hard, man. Smoke leapt from the automata's nostrils as it swung its maul. Morvak's body broke into smoking flesh and marrow as her soul caught alight. And as she fell into the underworld, still Morvak burned. Yeah, that seems about right. That seems like a very bad time. Seems like they had a very bad time. Here. Okay. Whew. Oh. So far, really like this book. I'm definitely gonna keep reading this, and I mean, I have stuff to do tomorrow, but I think as soon as I have time, I'm gonna also start working on putting this all in like in lore, in like a video, because this is cool. I don't think I have really, really like been interested in a faction in this game like this to this level. You know, like obviously there are factions I've liked, and I'm like, okay, these are cool. Skaven I like, the Caradon Overlords I think are pretty cool. But this is like not to a level of like, oh, this is really interesting. Like this is really, there is a lot in there. And a lot of nuance. And I think just the way the Chaos Dwarfs work, and the way they think, and the way everything in their society works, and I think that's very interesting. So I cannot wait to study this further. This is hella cool. Oh, they even have like the things to make like your own character. Oh, that's cool. More despots. Oh, this is a spearhead. Oh, okay, okay. They take on a spearhead. That's just the box set is in it. Okay, well, whatever. At least I have that done. That's nice. Ooh. Okay, I do think I'm gonna do one last thing though today, because as a little of a final treat, I brought with me tools. And what do you do with tools? Well, you build stuff with them. So I think before leaving it off for today, I'm gonna build one mini. Just kinda because I really want to now after I read the book. I don't think they included a manual in here, did they? Or actually, you know what? I know what I'm gonna build. The big man. Okay, so I'm assuming this base is for the big guy. Let's see here. Let's see if I can I come up more? Oh yeah, no, I get that. No, I'm just gonna put this guy together, and then I'll probably do the others in my own time. I want to have like at least a few assembled, so I can probably also paint a couple on stream, you know. But for now, after reading the book, I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling the spark of Hashut, and I do kind of want to do this as well. So let's see here. The big man in charge. So, he's angry. This here. There's like a, yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Like a gun or something, like a pistol. That's cool. Okay. Now, let's hope that the glue hasn't completely solidified, because it tends to do that sometimes with these little straws. And I haven't used this glue in a couple of days, so here's hoping. Praise to Hashut! Please! I ask but for a few drops of glue. Please! Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Is that part done? But it's not some very nice view. So far. That's very well. No issues. Just wabam. Okay, I'm gonna the light a bit better. Look. Wow. Little guy. Little fella. We are gonna do so many war crimes. Do not fail me now, glue. Please. Okay, there we go. Also, this might be like a sin, like a hobby sin. But one thing I personally, I don't personally take away like mold lines and such. I find it to be very boring and tedious work. I know I probably should do it, but it's not really something I do often. Because like I did start doing it once. And then I got so incredibly bored, and just putting together one miniature took so long. I was just like, nah. Nope. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. You can't make me. Though obviously some old miniatures, it's a bit more necessary in some miniatures than others. Oop. Wait, first. This like... Oh yeah, like this. Okay. Okay, hell yeah. We're getting somewhere. And then I assume his gun strapped to his belt. Come on. Shake it like you make it. Yeah. So, oh. Okay, everything's going well. Just had it advanced. Oh, yeah, okay, I think I have it again. Okay. Just do not touch anything. Look at the little guy. I'm gonna have to come up with a name for him. Because he's probably gonna be my leader for the time being. My commander. Come up with a cool dwarfy, chaos dwarfy name for him. Preferably one that kind of sounds like you're trying to talk with a bag of gravel in your mouth. Like Duraktor or something. So. Just on the base you go. On the base you go. In the name of Hashut. Do not move, I swear to God. There we go. Whoa! Our first mini of the Hashut. Wow! Guys, this is the first mini ever made on stream. Wow! What a momentous occasion. Everyone cheer and clap and celebrate. Praise the name of Hashut for this glorious day. He looks cool. Yeah. So. There we go. Okay, well. Book read. Praise Hashut. Book read. Mini made. I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It was fun to do a bit of like a hand cam stream like this. I'm gonna do, as I said previously, it's my plan from now on to do more regular streams. At least once a week. For now, probably just some painting, but also maybe like some games or whatever. Just kind of depends if people are interested. I'm just gonna be doing it for a while and I'll see how much I like it. Because I've been wanting to try streaming for a while now as well. So, also I made a post about it, but I think something went wrong because it's a bit weird. But for those who don't know yet, channel memberships are a thing now. So if you want to have some funny emotes to spam at me during these streams, you can get them through that. It is more of a tip jar though, so it's not at all like don't force yourself. It's purely just if you just want to throw me like €1 or 2 and get some emotes and a badge out of it, you know. But that's up to you. So so that was it for today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all have a good night. Praise Hashut, and for those who have bought the box or who are still going to buy the box, I wish you a lot of fun and a lot of reading fun and a lot of building fun and a lot of painting fun. So far, I've been having a lot of fun with this box, and the minis look awesome. So I'm definitely gonna be diving more into those as well. But anyway, that's all for today. Cheers to you all. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.